Alright everybody, doing another recap today. It's 11:46. So nothing really moving as far as low price stocks today, which is normally something that I look at. Um, MGRX ended up being the only stock I was looking at today. Um, and I can say there's definitely a few things that I've learned on this one. So we're gonna go ahead and drag this back, and you'll be able to see here a little bit better. So this is the 5 minute here on the left hand side. And it had some news about, let's go back, I'll get you the exact news. So basically, they had a sponsored Barstool Sports podcast, so the shares jumped. And you can see the momentum here when the news came out, and pre market faded down, started to come back up. And so here I waited because that's my rule. I try to wait the first 15 minutes if I can, 15-20 minutes after the market's open. So we kind of had this push up, establish a high of day right here, and on the way back down, I kind of had my scaling in approach, and I started to add. I added 50 shares here. I believe I added another 50 shares here, and then I added 100 shares here. Um, and luckily it ended up working out in my favor, and I held it all the way up until this price here was hit. So if you notice, it ended up breaking this high of day, making a new high of day here. And as it was coming back down, it didn't look like it was going to hold up, so I went ahead and just sold half here. And then after that, I wanted to let the rest of my order just ride on the 9 EMA. So same thing happened as yesterday. We got this candle here that closed below the 9 EMA, which is what I look for. I look for a close. And then on the move back up, I went ahead and sold right at the 9 EMA, getting rid of the rest of my position. The next break below VWAP, I did the same thing. So this time I went ahead and jumped in with 200 shares. I know it's not as strong. It's normally going to get a first pop. So what I did was I sold half right here at 215, 214 area. And then I let the rest ride, and same thing. I let it ride the 9 EMA, and then this candle kind of was pretty much right on the line. You had a doji candle here. If you can see it, I'll zoom in. So we had a doji candle here, which was a sign of weakness, and then we also had a plummet where it came down, came back up, but then when the next candle opened, it opened up here and started going down, so I ended up just cutting the loss, well, cutting the win basically. So I got out completely out of that trade, um, which looked like it ended up being right here or right here. Yeah, because this was, I sold half, sold the rest up here. So I was up a little bit, but because I wasn't using like a lot of shares, commissions really kind of ate up a good amount of it. So that's definitely something I will be more mindful of, just due to the fact that I'm trying to be more conservative on these scaling in. Um, and it's like a good thing and a bad thing. You know, it's a good thing because I'm protecting the downside, but it's a bad thing because now on the moves going on to the upside, I'm not really making enough to eat commissions. However, I'm still at least happy with the fact that I'm able to survive right now in a market that doesn't seem at least too hot to me, coming from someone that's still a beginner. Someone else may think otherwise, which is okay. So here, this is what we just talked about. Alright, so this one I got in on the dip, and I'm going to explain this one real quick. So I got it on the dip at the VWAP for potentially for the up and then the down and potentially higher. Actually, no, not really, because my realistic price target was normally on a big dip, you're only going to cover about half of it to 75%. So when I got in here at 216, I was looking for it to hit 225 and it didn't. And I was very hesitant because it was just sitting there. I mean, it wasn't moving, it wasn't doing anything, it was just sitting there. So I definitely had the opportunity to sell at like 223, 222, 224 area, but I didn't. And I think it's just because I felt like the move with having 200 shares and it only being up, 6 cents was only 12 bucks. So it didn't really like seem worth it in a way because I'm like, well, shit, commissions right there is 8 to 12 bucks. So it's really kind of like a break even trade. Um, so it ended up flushing, and that's when I'm like, man, I should have just sold all of it right here because I saw this, you know. Um, I was at least lucky enough. I changed my initial thought point to, okay, well, the break of this candle here, this is 205, so I'll put my stop loss here at 205. But then I'm like, you know what? It's already broken VWAP, and it's now technically a bear market. It's showing signs that it's no longer strong. So I'm like, you know what? Let me just get out on this pop up here. So I ended up getting out. What time was this? 10:43. So 10:43. I closed my position at 211. So I ended up losing 5 cents on 200 shares. So I lost 10 bucks. And then I think this is an area that I learned, or at least this is where my takeaway from this. Um, I knew that it was going down. As you see, I have these lines marked out: 197, 190, 175, and I went ahead and got in here for the dip. There was another big dip. I added 200 shares here at 199. I set my stop loss at 189, and this was just sideways like hell, and it finally broke here, and it was a stop market order, so my trigger was 189, and then it got me out at 186. So that was about 14 cents, so I lost what, 28 bucks. And with commissions, that did end up making me, right on the day, I'm down 5 bucks on the day. And that's okay for me, just because at the end of the day it's 5 bucks. I mean, that's close enough to break even for me. Um, Commissions was kind of an issue that I had to get over today. Now, what I want to point out is, you know what made me try to buy this dip? What made me want to buy this dip? Was it because every other dip I bought, it ended up going higher? Pretty fair, right? I think my last realistic dip buy should have been in here, which I feel like was okay. Um, and on the confirmation, either A, should have sold half, B, sold the whole thing, or C, knowing that it was probably going to come back down, go ahead and place a stop at break even. And I think that would have protected me from the potential downside momentum. And at that point, I would have just been hands off and just watched this thing fade, because I seem to get this idea that the more times it pushes to the upside, like, for example, let me see if I can get a good example of this. So here we got some lows. I don't know if me marking this out would be better. But here we got some lows and we got a high. Lower lows, higher highs, right? And then here we got a lower low, but a lower high. So to me, that's like a sign of it getting weaker. And then lower low, right? Because we're looking at it like this. But yeah, because we're pretty much looking at it. And I know you can draw a line anywhere these days, but this is pretty much what I'm trying to point out to you. Is we got the lower lows here, here, and then here. And then this was actually the change of the tide. I mean, look right here. This was the change of the tide. So once it kind of broke that lower low momentum, it definitely trended down sideways. So that is something that, at least to me, I should be more weary of. Is that, seeing this, I think would have really kind of solidified the shift on the selling side, and don't take a trade. Like, I understand under VWAP is kind of my approach. However, though, if it's strong, it's normally going to hold and it's going to stay strong. But after these few attempts, it told me that it was not strong. And that's an if this then that scenario. With my book here, Advanced Techniques in Day Trading by Andrew Aziz. This book has a whole bunch of useful information, so recommend anyone to read it if they're looking to get into trading. So yeah, that's pretty much my day. Like I said, down $5 on the day. That's only because of all the commissions and fees. So it is what it is. At least I'm able to live to trade another day. I do see this thing starting to curl back up. But for one, it's going to have to hold 190. And then it's going to have to break. So let's see. It's going to have to break $2 and like fucking hold $2. So, maybe I'll keep an eye on it. We'll see what goes on. But I got some stuff I got to do with the family. So, other than that, guys, if you guys have any questions or have any input, let me know. All right. Thank you so much for watching.